Is that you, Colin, or Justin? I can't tell. Colin, okay. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. This is the March 10th meeting of the Merrimack Agricultural Commission. The time is 7 p.m. Welcome to all listening. Going into the agenda, comments from the press or public. Seeing none, we're going to move forward onto new business. First item is the Farmers Market 2021. We have our contracts in the mail. We are looking for new vendors. Anybody out there that's interested in responding, getting back to us. We would like to entertain you as a new vendor at the Merrimack Farmers Market. On the front of the building at Vault Storage, DW Highway in Merrimack. We got one response already, one committed vendor already. I also got a price from United through Zinnia. $63.75 a month.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be tapped.
I know. We'll have to put up with their lack
The
of.
old, get what you pay for.
Exactly right. Yeah. Just so you guys know, that's what it is. So, but we are looking for vendors. Anybody interested, they can respond and talk to me about it, or they can go to our site in Merrimack.gov and look up the Summer Farmers Market. All that information, rules and regulations, and the contract available to print online, or call me and I'll send you a copy if need be. Moving forward, questions, Farmers Market? No.
So March, June 10th, isn't it? I mean,
Ju-
yeah.
June 10th through October, I don't remember, 11? I don't know, 7 or 11.
Yeah, I'll be able to start and close once in June,
You let me know.
The 13th, maybe?
whatever else you wanna work.
Yeah.
October is the 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. 2021, October.
Maybe it's October 6th, Bess, I can't remember.
But
It's
if it's the first Wednesday,
it's 18 Wednesdays.
it would be the 6th.
Well, I'm gonna ask when we're gonna start, see if we're starting on time this year, like last year, If we're on time, we start in June.
We'll start approximately,
We won't start 2 weeks late, hopefully.
June, it would be June 9th,
Correct. I think that's right.
with October to be announced.
October 6th. If you count 18 Wednesdays, that is the
Okay.
date.
All right, so October,
Bob, you gotta turn your mic on.
It is on. The light's on,
You
Colin.
have yours on?
yeah, I do now. Sorry.
Item B is the community garden. Let me see what I wrote here. We are looking to run a union leader ad for rototilling services for the spring rototilling of the community garden. The posters are going online on Channel 22 by the end of this week. We completed the contracts for the community garden and the applications. They can be found at the Merrimack.gov site, Community Garden, at our Gmail site, and you can copy them and print. We already received for 4 plots from one family this year's request for 4 spaces at the community garden, which is very positive.
So already just,
Already received a check in 4 plots, yes. Paul, Ronnie, and I hope to get in there by the middle of April after the rototilling is accomplished. Put the stakes in.
when in April?
Well, by the 2nd or 3rd week in April, hopefully, if weather agrees with us, to do the perimeter staking, put the flags and the string network together, and mark out the white flags, which are numbered per plot number. Anybody have any questions, please contact us, and I'd be happy to explain the system to new gardeners. Old gardeners know that.
The email we're using for the garden?
It's merrimackcommunitygardens@gmail.com. I believe that's what it is. I also recently received from UNH Extension a bunch of extension publications that will certainly help our gardeners or any gardeners in Merrimack. And some of these include COVID safety at the community garden, planting times for certain vegetables through the summer in New England, various bugs and borers that we find in a vegetable garden situation, I think I have 5 or 6 different ones here. Some fungus diseases. And the Extension Service also sent me a bunch of soil test applications that you could mail to UNH Durham to get your own personal garden soil tested and back in time for 1st of May, middle of May, depending on how soon you send your soil sample in. So if anybody needs one of them, or they can go online, UNH Extension in Durham, and find that themselves, print it out and mail it back in a container with dry soil from their garden, and that'll be processed. I think there's a fee. I don't think it's that much, but certainly worth the effort for gardeners, new and old, to get the right pH of soil. And consequently, you get fertilizer recommendations, lime recommendations for your garden. Any other questions? Don't be afraid to touch base with me. I'd be happy to extend my services as well if there's further questions. Any questions on a community garden?
No.
We hope to open, by the middle of May, weather permitting. It takes us a couple weeks between staking and stringing it out and all that after the rototilling is accomplished. The weatherman tells us it's going to be a dry spring, dry summer, so we're hoping to get in early, get you guys gardening early. We got plenty of garden plots available, so don't be afraid to touch base. Item C, UNH Extension classes and webinars. So I have a few classes here to talk about. I'll go through a couple lists that I've accumulated since last month. March 11th, 2021 New Hampshire Fruit Growers Association annual virtual meeting. It's an all-day online. March 15th, UNH Extension Pesticide Safety Certification Training for Commercial Applicators. Also March 15th, UNH Extension Public Safety Initial Certification Training for Private Applicators. It's 2 different kind of licenses in the state, private and commercial. You all know what I'm talking about if you already have a current license and need credits. March 16, from 12 to 1 p.m., Plant Production Lunch and Learn webinar series for green industries, meaning greenhouse industries, bedding plants, annuals, vegetable seedlings going out in the spring. March 17th, Virtual Safe, SAFE, Food Handling Workshop. This is going to be a requirement in a couple of years from a safety aspect, handling food safely, keeping your conditions safe, that type of thing. Also March 17th, up north, a North Country High Tunnel series of getting started, assembly and layout of a high tunnel greenhouse. March 22nd, pumpkin diseases as a webinar. March 23rd, again, another plant production webinar series for green industries. March 23rd, farm business planning for women farmers. March 24th, another food handling workshop. March 24th, commercial pesticide supervisor training. March 27, New Hampshire Vegetable and Berry Growers Annual Virtual Meeting. And again, March 30th, the third in line plant production lunch and webinar series for green industries. A couple more I want to highlight here. March 10, ornamental garden design at UNH Extension. March 11, STEM docent information session with 4-H STEM. March 11th through April 22nd, Taking Charge of Your Health, a virtual workshop. March 11th, tomorrow, New Hampshire Woods and Wildlife Live, State of the Birds and how the New Hampshire birds are doing. March 11th, Pruning Blueberry Bushes online. March 12th, Turning to Nature, New Hampshire Communities Embracing the Outdoor Economy. March 15th, a co-op's 4-H garden program. March 15th, again, Pruning Raspberries, Blackberries, and Grapes online, UNH Extension. March 15, 2021 4-H beekeeping essay competition at the 4-H Animal Science Center. March 17, caring for your forest and workshops for landowners. And again on March 17, pruning ornamental trees and shrubs online, landscape installation and maintenance. UNH can be contacted by a simple phone call if there's a problem and you're not computer available. 603-862-1520. That's UNH Extension in Durham, New Hampshire, from 8 to 5 p.m., 603-862-1520. Or you can contact the Agriculture Commission in Merrimack. We'd be happy to forward this to you. I also found a couple of things. University of Maine and New Hampshire UNH Extension working together. On March 24th, there's a webinar on fruit trees in association with Glenn Kohler and George Hamilton, who we know from UNH Extension very well. A $5 donation is recommended but optional. Basically, it's for home gardeners caring for fruit trees. It's a 1-hour webinar on your computer, March 24th. And also on 3 dates here, University of Maine Cooperative Extension will offer a 3-webinar series about compost issues in agriculture. Noon to 1 p.m. every day, March 11, March 23rd, and March 30th. This is a 3-session to talk about how you compost your materials or how you use compost in your gardens. Something to think about. The Compost Webinar Series is what it's called. It talks about some organic certification, but as you know, not all of us can be organic. And it talks about various options that University of Maine has come up with and thoughts and ideas. I think that's all I have for that stuff. Oh, here's another quote from UNH. To all you gardeners listening, our dedicated staff and volunteers provide research-based information to all residents on topics including gardening, backyard livestock, landscapes, pests, trees, food safety, wildlife, and soil. That's a theme that they present. And they're asking you to reach out and ask for their help. So that's all I have for extensions and webinars classes today. Moving on, item D. Any questions? Item D, horse sense.
Okay. Well, I have some information here, but this is now into March, and it is shot season for equines. And the principle of vaccination, the core vaccines are East and Western equine encephalitis, rabies, tetanus, West Nile. And those are just the core vaccines that we should, all horses should be given. Well, there we go. Sorry about that. A standard vaccination program for all horses does not exist. Each individual situation requires evaluation based on the following criteria: risk of disease, anticipated exposure, environmental factors, geographic factors, age, breed, use, and the sex of the horse, consequences of the disease, morbidity or mortality, anticipated effectiveness of the selected products, potential for adverse reactions to vaccines, cost of immunization, time, labor, and vaccine costs versus potential cost of disease, time out of competition, impact of movement restrictions imposed in order to control an outbreak of a contagious disease, labor and medication, if or when horses develop clinical disease and require treatment or loss of life. Vaccination serves to minimize the risk of infection but cannot prevent disease in all circumstances. Clients should have realistic expectations and understand that vaccination alone, in the absence of good management practices directed at infection control, is not efficient to prevent infections. So also, most horses to leave your property should have a Coggins test as well. And I did bring some information because people don't fully understand Coggins. Mm-hmm. Why does my horse need a Coggins? We don't travel. This doctor hears that question quite often. And the thing is, it's interesting that over the years, the Coggan test has developed a reputation as health papers or a travel permit. While it is true that a Coggins is legally required to travel with horses in North Carolina, every horse over the age of 6 months must have a negative Coggins test result within 12 months in order to be sold or taken to any public place. So, and I said, this doctor is saying, I think we've lost sight of the real reason for the test. A Coggins is a blood test that detects antibodies to the disease equine infectious anemia. This is a virus that can cause affected horses or donkeys to have fevers, anemia, low red blood cell count, anemia, stocking up, or weight loss, muscle wasting. Some horses recover quickly from the symptoms, which may be nothing more than a fever for 24 hours. EIA is a relative of the virus that causes HIV in humans. Horses that become infected will carry the disease for life. These carriers often show no signs of disease and appear healthy. Carriers then serve as a source of disease transmission to other horses, and that's why they require a Coggins. When you take your horse off your property, they should have a Coggins test because it's contagious.
Especially when it goes to fairs or
Yes.
shows?
So that's why they say, well, why do I need a Coggins? I don't go anywhere. But if you have a positive Coggins test, if you have a horse within 3 miles, I believe it is, of your farm, you have to notify those people that you have a horse, and your horse cannot leave your property if they have a positive Coggins.
Is there a shot or some kind
Well,
of control?
they take a blood test. So EIA is transmitted by flies, horse flies and deer flies, so your horse doesn't actually have to come in contact with an affected or carrier horse to catch the virus. Flies come to your farm, so your horse is at risk even if he never travels or lives in a closed herd. There is no vaccine for EIA, and there is no treatment. Most people don't know what. Another common misconception is that EIA has been eradicated from the United States and that there's no way a horse would test positive. In 2012, there were 36 horses identified as positive for EIA, 82 in 2011, and 49 in 2010. This disease remains active at low levels within the U.S. horse population. Prior to introduction of routine testing, 3 in every 100 horses were positive for EIA. Since routine testing was introduced in 1973, the numbers have declined to 2% of horses testing positive. In the past, EIA was often transmitted from horse to horse through human intervention with dirty needles and surgical instruments. Now that humans are more careful, the disease remains present due to biting flies. Since 1980, the majority of positive EIA horses were asymptomatic, so it is incredibly important that we continue regular Coggins testing to identify carriers and ensure that large outbreaks don't take place. What happens when a horse tests positive for EIA? After the result is verified, the law states that the horse's owner has 2 choices, euthanasia or quarantine. If quarantine is chosen, the horse must be branded with a special 55A and ID number on the left side of the neck. The horse must then be kept a minimum of 880 yards from any other horse for the rest of its life. Most people choose euthanasia.
Wow.
You can't get rid of it.
So that's basically why that's why and you should always have, I mean, if you're traveling anywhere. And also, there are other shots. These are core shots, tetanus and West Nile rabies. Many states require them. You cannot travel and go to Maine, for instance, without West Nile or rabies shots, or any state really.
Wow.
And horses that travel, most of the time, they'll have flu shots as well, because horses are very susceptible to respiratory, and they can you go in a barn with a horse that has a cough or something, that spreads through the whole barn. So if you're, when I used to travel with my horse, I always gave him a flu shot,
Remember when I was a kid in 4-H shows and fairs, we used to have to get a brucellosis shot for brucellosis for our heifers.
That could be.
Taking the fairs. Of course, that's 100 years ago now, but still.
Well, another problem is too that they don't vaccinate for, but horses with strangles. A horse gets, that's very contagious. And, you can carry it on your feet to another barn or whatever, and I mean, it can be deadly, or the horse usually survives, but I mean, it's, so it's important that you're aware of where your horse is.
Thank you, Bess. Moving on, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. For the balance, the Treasurer Agricultural Commission Farmers Market Funding Account balance as of 2/28/2021 is $3,853.23. The Community Garden Fund account is $819.60, with a combined total of $4,672.83.
Thank you. Any questions? Treasurers? No. Item F, minutes, review of draft minutes from February 10, 2021. I thought they looked fine, but.
The only thing I noticed when I reread them,
Yes.
and I don't think it's anything too vital. And the farmer's market, the summer market is held from, there's a "the" in there, June to October, so the "D" could be scratched, but it's not, that's the only thing that I noticed when I reread them.
Summer market is held from
From,
June to October.
instead of
So
from
the
from
should
the
go.
June to October, I would cross the "D," the
Okay.
out.
I'll fix that.
I didn't notice that there was anything else.
How about you, Paul? How you doing? Somebody want to start this? Accept it?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written with the correction that Bess pointed out
February 10, 2021.
for February 10th.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. At least we have a quorum. Okay. Questions on the minutes? No?
No,
Comments from the press? Seeing none. Comments from the public? Seeing none. Bill couldn't make it tonight. He wasn't feeling well, but he was
is he
gonna-
serious, you think he'll be,
I think it's too early to tell, and he doesn't know the whole procedure yet, so let's not scare him yet.
well, as I put in the minutes, it's,
He's very interested. He
It's-
was telling me tonight on the phone that he's making some notes to have a discussion further at further meetings,
wonderful.
of gardening and his experiences.
Well, that's
Yeah,
great.
that would be
So that's a very positive indication. He's very helpful. And it's almost gardening time, another month. It'll be warm, and we'll be turning the soil over and counting our seeds and sharpening our hoes and shovels and so on and so forth. So, comments from the public? None. Comments from the commission? As I told you last month, I'm out of stamps. I won't ask you tonight, but think about buying the Ag Commission a roll of stamps, because I'm already getting requests for mail contracts. I have a computer, but the printer's not talking to the computer.
Yeah, but does that mean that, though, if we vote you in, money to buy his
Say again?
stamps, if we vote you in?
You can do that tonight or next month, whatever you prefer, you guys. I'm not gonna, and also, with the information I got from Unity's Extension, I would like to put a few of these copies in plastic sleeves and pin them to the outdoor
Yes.
board at the garden.
Well, especially the COVID
Sure.
rules.
Oh, not
and
only that, but
regulations.
there's a lot of good information here, and I'll change them out as the months go by. I think I can hang 6 or 8 of them if there's, 12 or 15 here, but I could alternate them, but I was thinking if I had a box of 50 heavy plastic sleeves, be it notebook, 8.5 by 11, but notebook size. What are they called? Sleeves or
Yeah, they're just clear.
plastic envelopes and I don't know what they cost. I have no idea what they cost.
I don't know, I can,
Any idea?
No, we can look into it.
no, I
Maybe
can,
something we can grab
might have
next-
some in
next
a
meeting.
notebook at work or something,
Okay.
that just, they're kind
We
of
could vote on
used,
this.
but not, not abused.
Well, right, well, we could vote on this
How many do you
April.
need?
I need at least 15, 20. I mean,
Let me check. When I go out to the dollar store, I'll check.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Because they have all kinds of nifty supply things.
I would
like
say
that.
best, the thicker ones are probably better than and they need to be, I want to slide them in the bottom, you know what I mean, or at the top or
Yeah,
whatever.
have to look around and see what's what.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't mind voting on stamps for you tonight if you want.
Paul, what do you think?
Do you need a roll of stamps?
I
What
do.
is,
Was there roll of stamps?
I have nothing at all, I used everything, and some personal stuff, so, yeah.
I can give you a book of stamps out of my wallet.
No,
What's the roll of
no.
stamps cost? I mean, yeah.
$55, 55
Okay.
cents times 100.
55, okay.
Make a motion to approve $55 for the purchase of 100 stamps for future mailings regarding the community garden as well as the farmer's market.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Thank you all for doing that. I'll get your receipt. The only other thing I have right now is I got a call the other day from Eric Stanton at the Scale Clinic in Concord. For those vendors out there who are listening or who have a farm stand or market stand, Department of Ag, Division of Weights and Measures, is again going to license your scale and certify your scale. He called me to make an appointment with me, and I have an appointment for next Monday for mine, but for those of you out there, something to think about. We didn't need it last year specifically, but here's Weight and Measures phone number in Concord. Division of Weights and Measures, Department of Agriculture. The phone number is 603-271-2894. And, of course, there's a fee to renew your license. You all know that if you have a scale.
So they need to make an appointment?
They need to make an appointment. There are a lot of days available coming up in March for those of you that are going to run out of time come April, like the rest of us.
So what do they consider that, certified or?
Certified scale license. I only have the
To recertify their scales?
assessment of device license fees. 100-pound or left scale, license expires,
License and recertification?
That's probably a good way to talk about it. I mean, those of you out there who have scales, you have an account number. Maybe Eric's talked to you, maybe he's contacted you already. Maybe I'm just, talking here, but Division of Weights and Measures in Concord. And what they're gonna do is,
What was that number again, Bob? I'll write it in my thing.
271-2894. He explained the process. You get there and you pull up in front of their building. You call their number. Somebody's going to come downstairs and physically take your scale in the box and all, and your check and your invoice, bring it upstairs and certify it. You stay in your car with your mask on, safe. Nobody gets interacted or close. And they're going to bring it back to you in a few minutes once you get certified. And that's a very good process. And then I said to him, well, there's parking meters on that street in Concord. And he said, nobody is parking on the side streets right now because the offices are almost empty. So there's plenty of available parking if anybody's concerned about that, waiting outside on the street for a quarter or two, whatever the meter's going to take, it's no big deal. So something to think about, to get your scale certified for 2021 into 2022. And other than that, garden time is coming right up, everybody. Please get your seeds purchased before they run out of stock. Get your garden design, think about what you're doing, get your tools straightened out, cleaned up. Exercise for the garden time, because once you start turning the soil over and planting, you're gonna use muscles you haven't used all winter.
I'll give that back to you, because I'll make a note here. Well, I don't need, I'll remember.
Our next meeting is April 14th. By that time, somebody's gardens will already be open and they'll be working them. It's right around the corner. Even though we might get another snowstorm or two in the month of March, the time is very near to get outside, get exercise, get some fresh air, and so on and so forth. We have garden plots available at the Merrimack Community Garden. Please contact us or go to merrimack.gov and look us up. And we are going to open our summer farmers market in June. So food for thought. Any questions? Don't be afraid to contact me or the commission. Our next meeting is April 14th. You all have a good night. Time is 7:30.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night, all.